guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going through the 21 books that I am unhauling. So some of these are ones that I got new copies of, so I don't need them anymore. Some of them are ones that I read but didn't love, and some of them are ones that I got at like a used bookstore for really cheap or something, and I just don't think I'm going to read them, and I have limited space, so other books just took precedent over them. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna start with the ones that I got new copies of. So I have the Wheel Times book. 50% of them are mass market paperbacks and 50% of them are hardbacks because I read the series in college when I didn't have a lot of money, and then finished the series when I got a little bit more money. And I wanted them in hardback. I just haven't, it hasn't been worth it to me to purchase that. But for Christmas, my sister got me 3 of the hardback versions and I got one for myself while we were out. So I am just getting rid of the 4 mass market paperbacks that I replaced the hardbacks with. So it's The Eye of the World, Dragon Reborn, Great Hunt, and Lord of Chaos. So I think it's book 1, 2, 3, and 6 maybe. But yeah, so that's all those, just a replacement. Similarly, the Pendragon series, I adored this series growing up. And again, growing up, I didn't care if my books matched. But I found a hardcover version of this. So I think I have like the first 3, the last one, and the 8th one in hardback, and the rest are in a soft cover of a different format than this one. So this was it was not only soft cover, but it was a different format than the other ones. But I was at Goodwill and I found a $2 copy of the hardback version of this, which is book 9. So I had hardback, softback, hardback. Now I have 3 hardbacks in a row at least. So yeah, I'm just getting rid of this copy. You can tell it's well loved because I've read it a lot of times. But yeah, so that's just another softback to hardback. Once again, same story. Eragon, I had the movie cover of this book, and then my sister borrowed it and ripped it in half, so she bought me this cover, but all the other ones I bought as they came out, so they're hardback. And I was at a used bookstore and I found a hardback version of Eragon for $5. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to have the whole set in hardback. So I'll give this one to a good home, hopefully. And the last one is Kingdom of the Wicked. So I got the box set for Christmas from my other sister. The Pretty Barnes and Noble editions that I really like, and this is the only hardback, or this is the only physical copy of these series I had. I don't like that it has the James Patterson Presents on this little symbol on the side. So the box set that my sister got me doesn't have that, and I like it a lot better. So I am actually going to give this one to her because she has books 2 and 3 in hardback and book 1 in paperback. So now she'll have the full matching set. Okay, so next books I'm going to go through are ones that I read and just didn't love. And so I am getting rid of them to make space on my shelf. So first one is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I had read a couple of other Tessa Bailey books and didn't like love them, I didn't hate them. So then this one had the like murder mystery element because basically this girl is on vacation and she finds a dead body in her rental, and then I believe he's a bounty hunter, maybe, comes to investigate, and they fall in love, blah, blah, blah. And it was okay. I liked it. I'm glad I read it once, but I will never read it again. And it is a different size than all the books on my shelf. So since I only averagely liked it and I needed to replace, I bought a different book for that shelf, it's going away. Next one is Witch Please by Aguirre, I think is how you would say that. I last October went through a huge witchy rom-com phase. I read so many witchy rom-coms, and Witch Please was one that I was like really excited for, and it was like she is a witch whose magic has to do with electronics, and he's a baker down the street, and all that jazz. Witches aren't allowed to be with humans, stuff like that. I was just bored the entire time I read this book. I didn't feel like the conflict had that high, not that it has to have high stakes, but I just wasn't invested in the couple. I didn't care about the relationship with this witch and her family. I didn't care about the magic. I just didn't like it, unfortunately. I was very disappointed. So I'm gonna get rid of this one because there's a lot of other witchy rom-coms that I really like that I did keep. Next one is Brightest Star in Paris. So this is another rom-com. And actually, I would almost say it's more of a romance without any of the comedy. It is following a ballerina, I believe. I read this a while ago. Yeah, she's in the Paris Opera Ballet, and she is runs into a man who's a doctor. That they were in love many years ago, and then he left and she left, and basically it's a second chance romance, which I am starting to learn the more romances I read. Second chance romances, not my thing. I thought that it was going to give me Anastasia vibes, and it didn't. It was just, I think, it was a good book. Don't get me wrong. Unlike The Witch Please, I really think that this one was good. It just wasn't really my vibe. It was much more serious. It was much more about the characters' growth and less about their love story. I still love this cover. It still gives me Anastasia vibes. I think it's the top hat. But, yeah, so just good, just not good enough to keep on my shelves. So the other thing about me is I love Alice in Wonderland retellings. I don't know what it is. It started the Looking Glass War series when I read it as a kid. I adored, and ever since then I've been chasing the high of a good Alice in Wonderland retelling. I found one in Blade So Black. I loved that. I loved the terrible sci-fi mini-series that is an Alice retelling. So I love Alice retellings, but amongst all of the other good Alice retellings, there are ones that I just don't love that much. So I got these ones, Alice and Red Queen. So I did like it enough to get the second book. And I do like the Alice elements of it, but I just was not invested enough in the story to ever want to read it again. So I think this author does a lot of fairy tale retellings. I also read a Peter Pan one by her, which I've already gotten rid of. So basically my shelves are just getting full enough that it's time to get rid of these because I don't think I'll ever read them again. And there are other Alice retellings that I like much better. I think these covers are really cool though. They're not really my normal vibe, but they're they very much match the vibe of the books. Okay, next one is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So I love Harry Potter. I do not agree with anything J.K. Rowling says, and I fully support trans rights. That being said, I did get The Cursed Child when it first came out. I read it. I hated it, every minute of it. I hear them play is amazing, and I do want to see that one day. But I have no need to keep the screenplay on here because, again, I hated it. I don't like the story. I don't think it's how any of the characters would act. I don't like it. And my shelf is full enough that there is no reason to keep this on here anymore. For a while I was, you know, the person that wouldn't get rid of anything Harry Potter, but I hate this book. Why would I keep it? And then the last one of the books that I have read is, oh, actually this isn't one I've read. Okay, but I have read the first one. So this is Lord of Shadows. This is the second book in the Dark Artifices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. It is in the Shadowhunter world. It is the only set of Shadowhunter books I do not like. So I have read every Cassie Clare book as it comes out since the third one in the original trilogy came out. As I go to the store, I get them, they come out. I love Cassie Clare. But this one is the sequel series. So it happens after the original 6 books. And I don't know if I'm just the wrong age now, because it is in modern day and it does follow teenagers. But I read the first one, which I don't even remember what it's called, Lady Midnight, and I just didn't care. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't like the way the story was going. So I just, it was the first series that I didn't like. I read The Last Hours, first 2 books, and I liked those, but I don't know if it's a time period difference. I don't know, I'm rambling. Long story short, I didn't like Lady Midnight, so I never read Lord of Shadows, and so I have a whole Shadowhunter shelf. I'm not sure if you can see it over here, but it is exactly the right size. So when the new Last Hours book came out, I got rid of this one to fit that Last Hours on, and when the next Shadowhunter book comes out, I will get rid of Lady Midnight as well. But right now it looks really pretty and I'm not getting rid of it because I like the matchiness of it. Oh, they all just fell over. Okay, final set are books that I just don't think I will ever get around to reading, and there is no point in keeping them on my shelves when there are other books that I care more about that need space. First one is Gunslinger by Stephen King. I've attempted to read this book. I was like out with my friend, and so I thought it was maybe because I wasn't like paying attention. We were just kind of hanging out at a cafe, and I stole her book and started reading it, and I didn't love it. And then I read, I don't even remember The Institute. I read The Institute by Stephen King, and I hated it. I just don't think that Stephen King is my writing style. So I got The Gunslinger originally thinking that I would like Stephen King fantasy, but I've decided that since I hated The Institute and I didn't like the like little bit of this I tried the first time, it doesn't make sense to keep it on my shelf because I don't really want to get invested in a series that I don't care about, or not invested. I don't want to start a series that I don't think I'll get invested in. So yeah, I'm going to get rid of that one. Next one is Friends in High Places. So this is one that I got at a bookstore with credit, and I did not pay attention, and it turns out this is the 4th book in a series. So the series it's like a heist. I think she's a jewel thief. It follows her and kind of her exploits, so it does actually sound interesting to me, but I think I'm going to get rid of this one, and I will get the first one from the library and see how I feel about that. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense to keep a 4th book on my shelf when I haven't read the first 3 or do not own the first 3. Next one is 50/50 Red. So I read, this is I don't remember what they're called, the Raven Cycle or something. King Raven Trilogy, that's what it's called, King Raven Trilogy. So I read Hood a year and a half ago, and this is one where I had I found all 3 books. There used to be one called Tuck at a used bookstore for really cheap, and I was like, you know what, Robin Hood retelling, sign me up. They're cheap, I'm gonna buy all 3. So I bought all 3 and I read Hood, and I just didn't love it. I mean, it wasn't bad, it just wasn't good. I didn't like the main character. He was petulant and annoying, and I'm guessing if I read book 2 and 3, he might have some character growth, but he didn't the entirety of this book. I didn't care about his relationships with people. The side characters were okay. The story was not interesting. So long story short, it's just, I don't think for me. So then I took them to try to get store credit, and they only wanted Tuck. So now I still have Hood and Scarlett, and I'm just going to donate these because I do not want to continue on the series. Next 2 are, again, I had this time in my life where I would just go to used bookstores, and anything that even looked slightly interesting, I would just buy it. And these ones, I believe, yeah, so they're by the dude who wrote Redwall. And I know as a kid, I loved Redwall. I don't think I'd like it as an adult, because I'm not big on when animals are the main characters. But I thought since I liked them as a kid, I might try out these. But honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to pick them up because I've probably had them for 3 or 4 years and never picked them up. And the covers are kind of cool. I do like old-timey fantasy covers. Like this dude's like fighting a shark. But I just don't think I care enough to keep them. And that's what this whole thing is. I have to get rid of books. Like sitting here, I'm like, do I keep? No, I don't. I'm getting rid of books. Okay, last one on the list is Conquistador by S.M. Stirling, which is an alternate history book. And similar with almost everything on the list, it was at a used bookstore. It looked sort of interesting. I like the idea of alternate history. Looks like it's 1946. The white man is about to discover America. So my guess is it's what would happen if basically white people weren't the worst and didn't invade everywhere. But yeah, I just don't think I'm ever going to read this one. It doesn't sound interesting to me anymore. So yeah, that is the 21 books that I am unhauling. So I will probably try to bring them to a used bookstore to get credit, but if that doesn't work, I'll just donate them. And if that doesn't work, there is a bookstore near my house that I know takes all books no matter what. So after I try the ones with it, give me store credit, I'll try. I'll just donate everything else to them. So yeah, I guess that is all I have for today. Thank you for watching.